There comes a moment in every life, a breaking point that tests the soul beyond measure. It's the night when your heart is heavy, your mind tired, and everything you once understood about life begins to blur. You ask, why did this happen? Why me? Yet deep within that storm lies the quiet whisper of purpose. There comes a time in life when nothing seems to make sense, when pain consumes the heart, and every effort to find peace feels useless. You try to fix what's broken, rewrite what's gone wrong, and understand the why behind every hardship. But the more you fight the flow of life, the heavier it becomes. The turning point, the real transformation, begins the moment you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start whispering, maybe there's a reason I can't see yet. That moment of quiet surrender is not weakness, it's the first step toward peace. Pain often feels like punishment, but in truth, it's a form of purification. Every trial that bends you, every delay that frustrates you, every heartbreak that leaves you breathless, carries within it a hidden purpose. The heart finds peace not when the storm ends, but when it learns to rest in the middle of it, trusting that even the chaos has meaning. Acceptance is not about loving what hurt you. It's about understanding that every wound has its wisdom. You begin to rise the moment you stop resisting life's design and start believing that even pain has a role in your growth. When you resist what has already happened, you trap yourself in the past. You replay the moments, analyze the decisions, and question the timing. But acceptance opens a new door. It allows you to breathe again. It frees you from the illusion of control. Life doesn't always unfold according to your plans, and it never will. You can fight that truth, or you can find freedom in it. The moment you accept what you cannot change, peace quietly enters your heart and replaces the confusion that once ruled it. Think about it. Every time you've gone through something painful, didn't it eventually teach you something? Didn't it shape you in ways comfort never could? The lessons that grow in the soil of struggle are the ones that stay with you for life. Acceptance doesn't erase the hurt, but it transforms it. It changes the story from this broke me to this built me. You start to see pain as a teacher, not a tormentor. Every disappointment becomes a message that there's a higher wisdom working through every moment, even the ones you don't understand. True peace doesn't come when everything around you is calm. It comes when everything inside you is. When your heart stops fighting what was meant to be, and your mind stops demanding answers it's not ready for, you begin to feel lighter. That's the moment you rise, not above people, not above problems, but above the chaos inside yourself. You rise when you realize that life was never meant to be controlled, only trust it. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means standing strong even when things don't go your way. It means saying, I may not understand this now, but I'll trust that one day it will make sense. That shift in perspective changes everything. The same situation that once crushed you now becomes the reason you grow. The same pain that once made you question life now makes you grateful for its deeper lessons. Acceptance is the bridge between pain and peace. It's the quiet surrender that turns suffering into strength. You'll notice something miraculous once you begin to accept life as it unfolds. The people who hurt you no longer control you. The memories that once haunted you start to fade. The anxiety that used to consume you begins to ease. Because peace doesn't come from having a perfect life. It comes from having the right heart. And the right heart is one that trusts that even when life feels unfair, it's still unfolding in perfect order. Every soul that has ever truly reasoned did so not by escaping pain, but by embracing it with understanding. By saying, this is not the end, it's a beginning I don't yet see. When you stop viewing pain as an enemy and start seeing it as a guide, everything changes. You start walking lighter, breathing deeper, living calmer. You stop chasing what's not meant for you and start growing within what is. That is the moment of true transformation. The peace you seek will not come when life becomes easier. It will come the moment your heart accepts that every twist, every turn, every delay is part of a greater story. Acceptance doesn't just heal, it elevates. It takes your pain and turns it into power. It turns confusion into clarity. And most beautifully, it turns your deepest wounds into your greatest wisdom. That's when you rise, not because life has changed, but because you have. There comes a stage in every person's life when holding on starts to hurt more than letting go. You cling to what was, to the plans you once made, to the people you thought would stay, and to the dreams that didn't unfold the way you imagined. But the more tightly you grip the past, the more it slips away. Growth begins not in the act of fighting for control, but in the quiet moment you release it. Letting go is not about losing, it's about making space for what's meant to come next. We spend so much time trying to manage life like a puzzle that must fit our expectations. We build timelines, chase goals, and make promises to ourselves about how things should go. But life, in its mysterious way, often unfolds differently. When those plans fall apart, the first instinct is to resist, to ask why, and to keep trying to fix what was never meant to last. Yet the truth is simple. What's meant for you will never require you to beg for it, and what's not meant for you will never stay, no matter how hard you try. Letting go feels like falling, but it's actually flying. It's the release that allows new air to enter your lungs, new light to touch your soul. The things you lose are often the very things that were keeping you from rising higher. Sometimes the hands you release were blocking your view of what's waiting ahead. The dreams that collapse might be clearing the space for something far greater, far deeper, far more aligned with your purpose. But as long as you keep holding on to what no longer serves you, you stay stuck in a place you've outgrown. The truth is, growth and control cannot coexist. You can't bloom while clinging to what's dying. You can't evolve while you're still chasing what has already ended. Letting go requires courage, the kind of courage that trusts even when the road ahead is unseen. It's not an easy thing to do, but it's the most liberating act of faith a soul can experience. Because when you finally stop forcing things to work, you make room for what's truly meant to. Every closed door, every ending, every silence you've been forced to endure, it all serves a purpose. Sometimes you're not losing what you need. You're being protected from what would have destroyed your peace. But the pain of attachment makes it hard to see that. We think letting go means giving up, when in reality, it means stepping aside so life can move in the direction it was meant to. The weight you feel when you hold on to something that's already gone, it's not just emotional, it's spiritual. It drains your energy, blurs your clarity, and dims your light. Once you release it, you begin to rise again. You start to realize that control was never the goal, trust was. You learn that peace doesn't come from getting everything you want. It comes from being okay when you don't. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop carrying what was never yours to hold forever. It's choosing to believe that what's ahead is better than what's behind. That every ending is not the end of you. It's the beginning of who you're becoming. The beautiful thing about release is that it transforms pain into wisdom. It teaches you that strength isn't found in holding on tighter, but in knowing when it's time to move on. You discover that sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I trust what's next. And in that trust you grow. You start noticing new opportunities, new peace, new joy. The kind that doesn't depend on circumstances, but on faith. When you let go, you stop living in resistance and start living in flow. You stop measuring life by what you've lost and start appreciating what you're learning. You stop blaming and start healing. You stop chasing and start aligning. That shift in energy opens every door that was once closed, because life was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be lived with trust. So, let go. Let go of what you thought life was supposed to be and embrace what it's becoming. Let go of the people who were only meant to teach you lessons. Let go of the dreams that served their purpose and the pain that no longer deserves your energy. Because the moment you release the need to control, you rise into peace. And that peace becomes your power, the kind of power that transforms everything around you. Growth begins where control ends. It's in the surrender, not the struggle, that you find your freedom. Letting go is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of your becoming. And when you finally release what's heavy, you'll realize you were meant to soar all along. There are moments in life when everything feels like it's falling apart. You work hard, you pray, you plan, and yet things don't move the way you expect. Doors close, people leave, and dreams you thought were certain begin to fade into the distance. In those moments, it's easy to feel forgotten, as if life has somehow turned against you. But the truth that most people fail to see is this: every struggle carries a silent purpose. It speaks in whispers, not in noise. And while the pain screams loudly in your heart, the purpose hides quietly behind it, waiting to be discovered when the storm settles. Struggles are not punishments, they are preparation. Every delay, every setback, every sleepless night is shaping you into someone stronger, wiser, and more capable of carrying what's destined for you. The path to growth was never meant to be smooth. Diamonds are formed under pressure, not comfort. Flowers grow through dirt, not light alone. You too are being shaped in unseen ways. What feels like breaking is often building. What feels like loss is often redirection. You are being guided. Even in the moments when guidance feels absent, we often look at our struggles and think, this is the end, I can't take anymore. But the truth is, those very moments are where your transformation begins. Life doesn't give you hardships to destroy you, it gives them to awaken you. Every challenge carries a message. Maybe it's teaching you patience, reminding you of humility, or strengthening your faith in what you cannot see. Maybe it's pushing you to let go of something that was holding you back. The lesson isn't always obvious right away, but once time passes, the pattern becomes clear. You needed that struggle. Without it, you wouldn't have grown into who you're meant to be. Think about the moments in your past that hurt the most. Didn't they change you? Didn't they make you see life differently? Often the pain that once made you question everything becomes the reason you find meaning again. Struggles have a way of breaking your illusions and revealing your truth. They strip away what's temporary and show you what's eternal. You begin to see that the purpose of pain isn't to make you bitter, it's to make you better. It refines your heart, reshapes your priorities, and brings you closer to peace. When you're in the middle of a storm, it's hard to believe it's leading you somewhere good. But even storms have a purpose. They clear the air, they water the earth, they make things grow. In the same way, your struggles are watering the seeds within you. You might not see the bloom yet, but it's coming. Every tear you've cried is nurturing your strength. Every time you refuse to give up, even when it hurt, you are growing silently. That's the beauty of struggle. It doesn't announce your progress, it just transforms you quietly until one day you realize you're not the same person you used to be. You may not be able to control the challenges life gives you, but you can choose how to see them. You can see them as punishment, or you can see them as preparation. The difference lies in your perspective. When you start to believe that every struggle has a purpose, the pain no longer feels empty. You begin to look at every obstacle and ask, what is this teaching me? Rather than, why is this happening to me? That one shift in mindset changes everything. It turns your hardship into healing. It transforms your suffering into strength. There's a silent wisdom behind every trial. Sometimes the delay is protecting you. Sometimes the rejection is redirecting you. Sometimes the loss is saving you from something you can't yet understand. But one day, when you look back, you'll see it clearly. You'll realize that everything had to happen exactly the way it did for you to become who you are now. The silent purpose will no longer be silent. It will speak loudly through your peace. So when life gets heavy and you feel like breaking, remember this: the struggle you face today might be the very thing that lifts you tomorrow. The pain you feel is not wasted, it's shaping your destiny. Every hardship is molding you into a version of yourself that's stronger, kinder, and more grounded than before. You may not see the purpose yet, but it's there, quiet, steady, and sure. Trust the silence behind your struggle, because one day it will make perfect sense. And when that day comes, you'll realize that every tear, every loss, every trial was never in vain. It was all part of the silent plan to make you rise. Patience is one of the hardest virtues to live by, especially when life feels like it's standing still. You pray for change, you work tirelessly, you give your best, and yet nothing seems to move. The silence becomes loud, the waiting becomes heavy, and doubt begins to whisper that maybe you've been forgotten. But in reality, waiting is not a sign of neglect, it's a sign of preparation. Every season of patience is shaping you quietly, molding you into someone ready for what's coming. Because strength isn't built in the moments when everything goes right. It's built in the moments when nothing does, yet you still hold on with faith. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It's not sitting in the dark hoping for light. It's learning to see beauty even in the dark. It's continuing to water the seed even when you can't see it sprout. The world moves fast, and we've been taught to believe that success means constant progress, that growth must always be visible, and that delay means denial. But patience teaches the opposite. It reminds you that some of the most powerful transformations happen in silence. Just because you can't see the result doesn't mean the process isn't working. Every person who has ever truly risen has walked through a season of waiting, a time where nothing seemed to make sense, yet they refused to give up. That's where strength is born, in the unseen moments when you choose hope over despair, faith over fear, peace over panic. The soul learns its greatest lessons not in comfort but in stillness. When life slows down, it's giving you space to grow internally before your blessings arrive externally. If you rush that process, you end up with something incomplete, something that looks right but doesn't last. Patience is what gives your growth roots. The truth is, impatience steals peace. When you try to force life into your timing, you end up carrying stress that was never meant for you. But when you trust the timing of life, you learn to rest even when things are uncertain. You start to understand that every delay has a reason, every pause has a purpose. Maybe you're being protected from something not yet visible. Maybe you're being prepared for something bigger than you imagined. Patience allows you to accept that everything comes when it's meant to. Not a second earlier, not a second late. The strongest people are not those who get everything easily. They are the ones who wait, who endure, who trust the unseen while everyone else doubts. They are the ones who keep walking even when they can't see the road ahead. Patience builds this kind of strength, the quiet, unshakable strength that doesn't crumble under pressure. It teaches you emotional maturity, helping you respond to life with calm. Instead of chaos, you stop reacting out of fear and start acting out of wisdom. That shift alone changes everything. Sometimes patience feels like punishment because it forces you to sit with uncertainty. You can't see what's next. You can't control the outcome, and that can be terrifying. But that's exactly where your spirit learns surrender. You begin to realize that you don't have to have all the answers. You just need trust. When you surrender to patience, you're no longer fighting life. You're flowing with it. And that flow, that quiet acceptance, brings a peace no rush could ever offer. Think of the seed buried deep in the soil. For weeks, maybe months, there's no sign of life. Yet beneath the surface, something is happening. Roots are growing, foundations are strengthening, and soon, when the time is right, that seed breaks through the surface, not a moment too soon. That's how patience works in your life. What you think is silence is actually growth. What you think is stagnation is preparation. The waiting season isn't wasted, it's sacred. When the reward finally comes, you'll understand why the wait was necessary. The patience that once felt painful will reveal its purpose. You'll realize that you weren't being delayed, you were being developed. The calm you learned, the faith you built, the endurance you gained, all of it will serve you in ways you couldn't have imagined. Because what patience gives you lasts far beyond the moment you receive what you were waiting for. It builds resilience, gratitude, and wisdom that stay with you for life. So don't rush what takes time. Don't despise the waiting. The same patience that feels heavy now is the very thing strengthening your heart. Every day you endure with grace, you're becoming stronger than before. You're learning to rely not on outcomes, but on faith. And when your time finally comes, you won't just have what you waited for. You'll have become someone worthy of it. Patience doesn't just build inner strength, it reveals it. It's the quiet power that transforms waiting into winning, struggle into strength, and uncertainty into unwavering peace. There comes a point in life when nothing seems to add up. The plans you thought were solid begin to crumble. The people you relied on drift away. And the path you once saw clearly becomes covered in fog. In moments like these, the heart feels fragile, the mind grows restless, and the soul begins to question everything. But it's in that very uncertainty that faith is born. Faith doesn't grow in comfort, it grows in confusion. It takes root when you have every reason to give up but choose to believe anyway. It's the invisible seed planted deep in your heart that whispers, keep going. even when you can't see the way. Our faith is not about seeing the destination, it's about trusting that there is one. You might not understand why things are unfolding the way they are, but faith tells you that every step has meaning. Even when the journey feels endless, even when your efforts seem unseen, there's a purpose behind every moment. The seed of faith begins to grow the moment you stop demanding evidence and start believing in the unseen. It's easy to trust when life is gentle, but real faith shines when everything seems uncertain. That's when your soul learns that strength doesn't come from understanding. It comes from trusting. Think of faith as a seed. When you plant it, it disappears beneath the soil. You can't see it anymore, yet you water it, care for it, and wait with hope. That's exactly how faith works. You don't see the result right away, but something powerful is happening beneath the surface. Every prayer, every tear, every moment you choose not to give up, it all nourishes that seed. And one day, when the time is right, it breaks through the ground and becomes something beautiful. The growth is silent, but the outcome is extraordinary. The truth is, faith and fear cannot live in the same heart. One will always silence the other. Fear tells you that the worst will happen, that you'll fail, that you're alone. Faith tells you that no matter how dark it gets, light is on its way. It gives you strength when logic says you should be weak. It gives you calm when chaos surrounds you. Faith doesn't promise that life will be easy, but it promises that you'll never walk through it empty-handed. It assures you that everything happening is for a reason, even if that reason isn't clear yet. When you start to trust the process of life, something incredible happens. You begin to see beauty in what you once called broken. You start to find meaning in what you once labeled as loss. That's what faith does. It changes your vision. It doesn't always change your circumstances, but it changes the way you see them. You stop focusing on what's missing and start being grateful for what remains. You stop questioning the timing and start believing in the wisdom behind it. The most beautiful thing about faith is that it requires no proof, only trust. You don't need to know how it will happen. You just need to know that it will. You don't have to see the entire staircase. You only need to take the first step. Every great rise begins with that single step of trust. Faith gives you the courage to walk through uncertainty with your head held high. It reminds you that you are being guided even when you can't see the hand that guides you. Sometimes the greatest test of faith is not in the struggle itself, but in the waiting that follows. The waiting period is where your faith either grows or fades. It's where you learn to stay steady even when the outcome is unknown. The people who rise highest are not the ones who never fall. They're the ones who fall, wait, and still believe that the fall has a purpose. That quiet, unwavering belief becomes their strength. When faith lives in your heart, fear loses its power. When you trust the unseen, doubt begins to fade. You start to carry a calm confidence that doesn't come from knowing the plan, but from knowing that there is one. You learn to smile through uncertainty because deep down, you know that everything written for you has meaning. Every delay is preparation. Every challenge is shaping you. Every unanswered prayer is making room for something better. Faith is the seed that lifts the soul. It begins small, invisible, fragile, but when watered with patience and trust, it grows into unshakable peace. It lifts you higher than fear, above confusion, and beyond limitation. The moment you choose faith over worry, you begin to rise. Because faith doesn't just change what you see, it changes you. It turns your pain into purpose, your waiting into wisdom, and your uncertainty into unwavering peace. And that's when life begins to bloom again, one quiet miracle at a time. There is a moment in life when you realize that all your efforts, all your plans, and all your struggles to control everything around you have led you to exhaustion. You've done everything right. You've worked hard. You've tried to make things go according to your plan, and yet life still had its own way. That's when a quiet truth begins to reveal itself. True success isn't found in control, but in surrender. It's in that sacred moment when you release your grip on what you think life should be and trust the way it's unfolding. That moment is not defeat, it's liberation. Because surrender isn't giving up on life, it's giving into wisdom far greater than your understanding. People often mistake surrender for weakness, but it's the strongest act of the soul. It takes courage to stop fighting what's already written. It takes deep strength to say, I trust this process, Even if I don't understand it yet, the ego wants control. It wants to plan every outcome, fix every problem, and manage every situation. But life was never meant to be lived through control. The more you try to hold on, the more you create resistance. The more you let go, the more peace finds you. When you finally stop chasing control, you begin to experience a calm that no achievement could ever bring. Surrender doesn't mean you stop trying or caring. It means you stop carrying the illusion that you are the author of everything. You still work, but you work with trust. You still dream, but you don't tie your peace to the outcome. You learn to say, I will do my best, and whatever happens, I will accept it as part of my path. That mindset transforms pressure into peace. You stop being obsessed with success in the worldly sense and start seeking success in the inner sense, peace of heart, clarity of mind, and alignment with purpose. The truth is, control is rooted in fear. Fear of loss, fear of the unknown, fear of pain. But surrender is rooted in faith. It's the knowing that even when life doesn't go your way, it's still leading you where you need to be. Every door that closes, every delay, every disappointment, all of it is part of a design that's guiding you toward your true purpose. When you surrender, you stop forcing life to move according to your clock. You start aligning yourself with the rhythm of the universe. You realize that what's meant for you will reach you even if it takes time, and what's not meant for you will pass by no matter how tightly you hold on. In surrender, you find freedom. You free yourself from the anxiety of what if. You free yourself from the burden of trying to control every outcome. You free yourself from the endless cycle of disappointment that comes from expecting perfection. You start to see that peace doesn't come when everything around you changes. It comes when everything inside you does. You begin to breathe easier, sleep deeper, and live lighter. Because you're no longer fighting life, you're flowing with it. There is an incredible beauty in the act of surrender. It's the beauty of trust. It's the peace that comes from knowing that even when you can't see the reason, there is one. The more you trust, the more you rise. You stop seeing failure as the end and start seeing it as a bridge. You stop questioning the timing and start believing that delays can be blessings in disguise. You stop feeling lost and start realizing you're being led. That shift in awareness is the essence of true success. You see, worldly success is about how much you can achieve. But spiritual success, the kind that brings lasting peace, is about how deeply you can trust. The most successful souls are not the ones who control life perfectly. They're the ones who can stay calm when life doesn't go as planned. They're the ones who can still smile in uncertainty, still find gratitude in hardship, and still believe in meaning when life feels unfair. That's real strength. That's real success. The moment you surrender, you begin to see life differently. The same things that once frustrated you start to make sense. The same setbacks that once broke you start to look like blessings. You begin to understand that everything that happened was never meant to stop you. It was meant to shape you. Surrender transforms resistance into acceptance and acceptance into peace. It allows you to live without fear, love without attachment, and move forward without regret. So stop fighting what's already been written. Stop exhausting your soul by trying to control what was never yours to control. Let go not because you've lost, but because you've learned. Let go because peace is worth more than perfection. The moment you surrender, you rise. You rise above worry, above fear, above the illusion of control. You rise into freedom, the kind of freedom that comes only when the heart finally says, I trust the plan. And that, more than anything, is what true success looks like.